Now let's review how to check if a preceptor is active. And this will help you identify if you need to reach out to the preceptor and encourage them to attest information and become eligible to receive tax credits. Now let's review if a preceptor is active. So we've just pulled up a name of a preceptor that was already in the system, and we created a new record because they weren't in the system. But neither of, well, in that first scenario where somebody was already in the system, it doesn't actually tell us if they're active or not. And active or not means if they have registered in our, and attested to certain information that we require for tax certification purposes. So now if you click on the second option on the banner, you'll see the first option is name, then you have their license number, and then you have their registration status. And these folks have inactive. So that means they have not attested to the information. I'm going to click on the person's name, false, false. Scroll down to registration info, and registration status is inactive, and you can see that there are a lot of blanks here. We don't have the registration date. We don't have the preferred method to receive the letter. If they've precepted students in the past, if they have a primary care practice site in Hawaii, if they're uncompensated, and if their teaching was voluntary, and we do not have a signature. All of this is required in order for them to receive a tax credit. Even if they are precepting, if they do not attest to this information during the tax year, so if they're precepting in 2020, the tax year is 2020, they need to attest in 2020 or in an earlier year, in 2019 for our purposes. So you'll see that you'll see here that even though they have a record, it's because we made one for them, because we wanted to put that information in. We wanted to be able to track their rotations, and they may become eligible for tax credits. They may end up doing more than 80 hours of teaching, but unless they sign up in the tax credit website, they cannot receive a tax credit. By no means possible will they receive a tax credit if they don't register. So that's how you tell. If it says inactive under registration information or under preceptor, in that third column, if it says inactive, you know that they have not gone to the website and attested to our required information by state law, and they will not receive a tax credit, even if they have enough hours. Let's go to the Preceptor Tax Credit website now and review where preceptors can go in order to become active, and that would be registering and attesting their information within the system. What do we do if we figure out that one of our preceptors is inactive? We direct our preceptors to preceptortaxcredit.hawaii.edu. Our preceptortaxcredit.hawaii.edu site is the official site for the Preceptor Tax Credit Program. The very first banner is a link to our registration page. So under Become a Registered Preceptor, there is a button icon, and if we click on that button icon, you'll see the form. As I mentioned earlier in this video, they can, we will collect their preferred email and their preferred address, and all of that information is here. So we have their full name, birthday, street address, city, state, zip code, preferred email, preferred phone, their license number must include dash, and we have the example here. We have their preceptor site, so if they register, this would become entered into the database and you wouldn't have to create that site for them. You can pull it up. We have their license type. By state law, right now, we only have MD, DO, RPH, APRN, or other. If there are amendments to the law in the future, there may be more sites, more license types. We collect their specialties, so this is how we cross-check that they are in primary care. And then they must answer these questions below. No one else except the individual, the preceptor, may answer these questions. So even if you are a spouse, an office manager, perhaps the program liaison for medicine or nursing or pharmacy, if you think you know this information, but you are not the preceptor, you may not enter the information. Only the preceptor can enter this information. They electronically sign and they submit. Once they do all of that, and I'll pull up myself again. Once they do all that, you can see then that the registration status becomes active and the answers appear under registration info. This information cannot be changed by you or me or anyone else in the Preceptor Tax Credit program. So to review, if you identify that somebody is inactive and they're accruing preceptor hours, we really want to encourage them to register at that preceptortaxcredit.hawaii.edu page.